Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday's coaching. I can see Lisa grinning. This is when normally she bursts into laughter, and none of us have yet worked out why that's true.
It's a very happy person.
Well, obviously, clearly. So what are we talking about today, Lisa?
We are talking about the inner critic.
That's true. Absolutely. And not just why, not just the inner critic itself, but because often we can see, I think, that this inner critic, the voice, the stories, the ego, the stories that are presented to us are the problem. But we're going to talk also about why the real problem is how we relate to that, right?
How we relate to the inner critic.
Inner critic, yeah.
And we've had some really rich conversations this morning. Honestly, just behind the scenes, Sam and I, we have our school starting tomorrow. So we're super excited about it. And so we were coming onto this live thinking, what do we want to talk about? And so we've had so many different conversations this morning in preparation for the school and navigating, how we're feeling about it as well. So that's why we've landed on this subject, because we wanted to share how we were feeling and how it's relevant as well for anyone kind of growing a coaching business or doing something new for the first time. It's often when that voice raises its head. Oh. So, just to give you a bit of background.
Well, you asked me, didn't you? Said, Sam, how are you feeling about the school launching tomorrow? Because we've been so focused the last few months on enrolling into the school and filling it up. And now it's right, this is it now. It's starting. And you said, Sam, how are you feeling about it? Mm. And it's a mixture. Predominantly, there's excitement. There's a feeling of and you kind of you're a kid and you got Christmas the next day. There's that kind of bubbling kind of excitement underneath. But there's also some I think nervousness is the right word. There's a little bit of nervousness there. There's some real desire to get this right for the guys in there, really serve them as very best we can. So that's something I'm really aware of, and that's something you shared as well, Lisa.
Yeah.
And I shared with you, how I think for me that in the past, that inner critic could easily have taken over. It has done in a lot of my life, taken over, and it's been almost not ever actually happened. It's been almost too much for me to actually continue to go ahead and say, yeah, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to do this anyway. Something that I've really noticed now is that when I hear anything, when I have those stories, that insecure story or whatever it looks like, the inner critic saying, are you good enough? Can you really do this? Who do you think you are? It's a really good opportunity to check in with, what's my intention here? Where's my focus going? And like I said to you, it could easily turn into a judgment, a heavy judgment. Oh, what am I focused on? But it's not. It's a gentle acknowledgement of how I'm feeling. All of it, not just the inner critic, but the excitement as well. And what's my intention? My intention is to do the very best that I can for the people in this school. And that's really it, to serve them to the very best of my ability, however that might look. And that feeling, those thoughts sometimes I think are a little bit of a tap on the shoulder of, Sam, what's your intention? Remember, just shifts the focus. Yeah.
And I think I'd be more concerned if I didn't have any of that feeling.
Yeah, totally.
Because that to me, that signifies maybe I'm not living my full life. Maybe I am holding back, maybe I am playing small. So if my compass point is that excitement, nervousness, I love that feeling, because that means that I am doing something that feels a little bit edgy, but it means I'm keeping myself on my toes. I know I've been in roles where it's I just got so complacent because it was easy to do. It all felt comfortable. I was good at it. And it just doesn't fill me up. And so I end up, if you look at my CV, it's about 25 pages long because I get to that stage. And
I can't remember the last time I even looked at mine. 10 years ago.
Yeah. So, and that's font size 10.
Why am I not surprised?
So yeah, I guess what I want to share is the two things. The feeling of the inner critic is not necessarily a bad thing. So it really can be, like you say, a tap on the shoulder, or it can symbolize we're on the right path here. This has me know that I'm stretching myself, that I'm growing, that I'm playing the game. And the second thing, when you asked me the question back, it was like my thought was I'm 90% excited. And who knows what that's going to look like tomorrow when we get going, right? It might be like, oh, shit in hell, what have we done? Like 90% shitting myself now. But it's 90% excited. And then I was trying to figure out what the 10% was. And I arrived at the same place as you, Sam, around if I know that I've given everything, then I'm okay with that. But if I feel like that I'm holding back in some way because I don't want to be judged or I don't want people to think this of me, that's not okay with me. Like, people haven't enrolled into our school for me to hold back. They haven't. And this is a really important message for coaches who have a strong people pleaser or a strong need to be liked and not want to get into conflict or upset the apple cart. But like, people are not paying us to hold back. They're really not. So it's like, that for me is like my compass now is, can I go into my school fully committed to leaving nothing behind? And that's how I want to show up to it. And when you focus on that, the inner critic, it's funny. It's like, it doesn't feel like it's really there right now. And again, it might just be because my mind's on the present. So I've not gone into the school yet. Like, my mind is on the current moment. But when you focus on that service and how you want to be in that program or with that client or wherever you are in your practice, then you're moving. Like, the inner critic either isn't as loud, you don't notice it, or it can be there and it's totally okay for it to be there, because that's not the predominant voice. That isn't where your focus and attention is going.
Yeah.
Looking in this direction of service, as opposed to this direction is all the reasons why I can't do it. That, like, I can't see what's over here when I'm looking over here. Yeah. I might know it's there, but I'm not looking it in the eye.
Yeah. That's an important thing I think a really important distinction is, like, there's an acknowledgement of whatever it is. It's not like an avoidance or a hiding or a distraction. It's just, there's an acknowledgement there, which is super important. We acknowledge something, but we're willing to move on. And something you shared, Lisa, and I think it was something we talked about as well, and I think it's an important thing to just bring to the table, this is a group for coaching, is that one of the reasons we can feel so almost invincible in some ways. Like, I've noticed this whenever I have a coach, I can feel like that. I've always got one at whatever level, but we are being incredibly well supported at the moment. And I think that's an important message, because we feel like, you know what, no matter what comes up, no matter what happens, we've got somewhere to go. And we know it's going to be resolved. We're going to learn from it. We're going to grow from it. We're going to create from it. Right. And I think that's an important thing to speak to, because if we're coaching and it's a challenging experience, which it is, growing a coaching business is a very challenging experience. Probably, if I'm honest, the most challenging thing I've ever done. And that includes my journey with having kids, right? Having the right support.
But are you saying it's harder to work with me than it is to bring up children?
Yeah, well, it's like the same thing. I think it actually, to be fair, if we're going to be really truthful, it's completely the other way around.
I wasn't going to say anything, so.
I think people probably know that, Lisa, to be honest. But yeah, it's just having that support and knowing that that's there can help you to feel really safe. And that's just something to speak to, because if we are coaching, I think on some level it's important to have that support. Well, on every level it's important to have that support, no matter what level that it is. So just something to consider. And we can both say hand on heart that the guys in our school will feel exactly the same. They will feel supported by us and the other people in the group.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't think I've got really anything to add to that, other than there's no way I would be here doing what I'm doing today this early on if I hadn't have had that support. Like, I've never, since I decided I'm going to do this as a professional coach, I've never not had a coach ever. And I wouldn't be where I am today without that support and that guidance, for sure. I might get there in the end, but it wouldn't have been as quick as it has.
Yeah.
So really owe a lot to my coaches, really, really do. What else? There was something else, but it's gone. Yeah. Oh no, this was it. It was like that inner critic would have been really going nuts inside of my head if I'd have shared that like a couple of years ago, but probably even a year ago. Because I know I've talked about this a lot, about having support and hiring coaches. And that is when my inner critic pops up, because it's like, well, of course they're going to say that, right? Because they want to hire, you want a sale here. And that would have been a really loud voice. And I wouldn't have allowed it to stop me, but it would have felt different inside. I would have been paying a lot of attention to that. Mm-hmm. And now it feels like, no, I really, truly, I can't even put into words how much I appreciate the support that we've had.
Yeah, 100%.
And it feels very different saying it now than, in the earlier days.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. And I would have the same thing about sitting here talking about me and us. And I'm really aware now that if my intention is to serve even one person who's willing to listen to this video or will listen to this video, if I can serve just one person, then my intention is to do that. The rest is just needs acknowledging, but it doesn't need doing anything with.
I think our job is done because we've got Tiffany and Tim with us. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, guys.
So that's 2 people already.
Yeah, there we go. What more can we ask for?
Let us know what you're hearing in this. Let us know if you have challenges with your inner critic, like where does it show up for you? What's your relationship like with it? How do you respond to it? Do you try and get rid of it? Do you need it to be gone before you action anything? Do you give it a cuddle? Like tell us how you relate to your inner critic. I'm just going to quickly read Tim's message as well. Sam, you go with whatever you.
I was just going to say, if your inner critic was a villain, who would it be and why? Love that question. Just a bit of fun.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
So Tim's asking, did I seek out a coach to grow my practice, or was growth a byproduct of life coaching you receive? I sought out a coach to grow my practice. I really purposely hired a coach to go, I want to do this. How do I do it? Mm-hmm. And I would say the second half, my practice has grown as a result of the coaching.
Of course.
So there was a huge amount of the learning, like how to, like what to do and how to do it. But there was a phenomenal amount, especially when my second coach was hugely influential in this, really like modeling what she was talking about. And every coach I've had actually has, but she was the first person that really sat with me and said, here's how you create clients, but demonstrated it, like really demonstrated service. And I know we were missing each other, right? I thought that I was hearing what she was saying, but now when I watch back the recordings, I hear what she's saying on a much deeper level. So I was growing as a human and as a coach through being coached by her and seeing how she was with me. So I purposely was like, hey, I want to hire you to do this. Can you help me with this, please? And everything else happened as a result of being in those conversations and being in those sessions.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers the question, Tim, but you can let me know if it doesn't.
Yeah, I certainly don't have anything to add to that. I think my experience, especially early on, was, hey, I can figure this out. I'll read the Prosperous Coach and I'll just go for it, which was kind of all right for a bit. It was really messy and I missed so much. And it wasn't until I started to get some coaching on it, I started to really see my potential, but also what I was missing and how much, not easier, but how much more effective I could be. And I learned really quickly as well, because my mindset was, once I've got this, it will be fine. But I really started to see that this is dedication to the rest of my life, to master the art of what is a coach. Who is Sam? Like, who do I want to be? Like, there's a real mastery to it. And that takes a level, I think, of commitment. And that's where coaching comes in, because it's just a constant development.
Yeah, all the time.
And we shared yesterday, like, I never thought in a million years, you asked me 5 years ago, would I be sitting here creating what we've created? There is literally no way I would have believed you, Lisa. Like, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't have believed a tiny bit of it. Nah, that's not Sam. But yet here we are sitting here being able to say that. And that is because I've been able to see through all the reasons why I thought I couldn't do it through coaching.
Yeah. I had something similar, but it wasn't that I didn't think I could do it. It was that I wasn't interested in doing it. So I was really resistant to, nah, I don't coach coaches. No way. That's for coaches who can't create clients. I don't coach. Even though I'm seeing Steve Chandler, right, the godfather of coaching, working with a lot of coaches. Yeah. And there was still this, again, the inner critic, right? It was still in there like, yeah, but how many clients does he have that aren't coaches? Right? Like, that's not proper coaching. So it was still like in there. And I remember being at school, like coach training school, and someone saying to me, you should do this, like you should coach coaches. And I was like, I was so offended. I was like, she's not listening to me. She's a rubbish coach. She's not listening to anything I'm saying. And now here we are. Yeah. So it was that willingness to explore and be curious and not be so attached to how I think life should look and what I think my goals and my agenda and my plan is, and just be willing to be willing to receive other things and go wherever it feels good to go, when it feels good to go there.
Absolutely.
So, I'm just reading Tiffany's comments. You guys have been that person to me, and the importance of that support, that time has been hard to put into words. Bless you, Tiffany.
So much love for you, Tiffany. Yeah.
So shall we leave it there? Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I mean, that what I'm aware is that this live is in between me and my lunch, and I'm just not prepared to make that sacrifice anymore because I'm really hungry. And
I'm about to go and buy a car.
You know, we've got things to do, right? But no, I just want to say, like, if there's anyone listening to this and it resonates and it lands, we're here. Like, we are here. Ask, reach out, send us an email, send us a message. We're here.
We're not going anywhere.
So yeah, brilliant. Well, have a lovely rest of your day, guys, and we will see you next week.
See you next Wednesday.